what college class did you take that is you find most applicable? I'm thinking about this, and you know what? I'm very curious to see what your answer is because you went into sales engineering, Cisco, a little electronics in there, but you mentioned Maboob, and he didn't teach any electronics related class. I'm anxiously anticipating your answer for this one.
Yeah, so what's funny is whenever we're in our upper levels of college where you have to kind of choose a specialization
Mhm.
and you're in terms of like the bylaws of the degree program to actually get that degree, you have to take X amount of classes in a specialty. I think I took like electronics too, and that was like the only specialization I took. I read through the whole bylaws and saw that there was a little bit of gray area in there about the number of specialty classes. I saw that you technically didn't have to use those blocks for engineering specialty classes to get your degree. So
Oh,
I actually ended up minoring in economics instead, and I took like 6 upper level econ classes instead of taking engineering classes.
what?
So yeah, yeah. So I took, like intermediate micro, intermediate macro. Econometrics was like the most mind blowing, fascinating class
Yeah,
I've ever taken in my life because it's like this perfect intersection of advanced economic theory plus calculus plus statistics.
yeah.
And that was just like my all time favorite class that I took. Shout out Dr. Houston. He was just my favorite professor at Trinity, just because was just so in love with the subject matter for that class. But,
Do you know why I'm
you
cheesing so
know,
hard right now? I didn't know that
why?
you minored in because I also minored in economics at
Oh
Trinity.
my God, I didn't
And I
know
also
that.
took econometrics with Dr. Houston. And my favorite class from college is also an economics class.
Yes,
My
it's
my
just,
my, my
it's
favorite is
great.
environmental economics with Dr. Shanna McDermott, but she wasn't
Oh,
around, I
nice.
don't think, whenever you got to Trinity. Wow. Okay, so carry on. So your favorite class was econometrics?
Yeah, that was my favorite class. It's just kind of just something like I was just obsessed with. I even for a brief period of time like thought about going to grad school for economics after
Wow.
college, but then I also kind of was like, man, I just don't think I could ever do school ever again. And I'm just like, oh, I don't want to go into even more student loan debt. And then I even just like using basic economic theory, I'm just like, oh, the opportunity cost of thinking about, the income I could be making with an engineering job versus going into more debt
Yeah.
for econ in grad school. And then I kind of ultimately decided from a logical standpoint, I was like, okay, no, it doesn't make sense. But I guess in terms of actual engineering classes that I think apply the most to my life, I mean, technically, none of the subject matter I would say directly correlated to what I did at Cisco because everything
Mhm.
with systems engineering, I mean, you're talking about route, switch, wireless, data centers, cybersecurity, collaboration technologies like voice over IP, and looking at how can we get traffic from point A to point B in the most effective manner. So solving that with different routing protocols, and talking about kind of the ins and outs of packet encapsulation and de-encapsulation. So all those concepts with systems engineering in the IT world technically just had nothing to do with what we learned at Trinity. But I think overall, though, especially in the design classes, I think just those kind of non or just like intangible skills that you learn in those design classes really correlate to any branch of engineering. You're learning
Nice.
how to work in a team. You're learning, okay, I'm working in a team, but I'm working with a bunch of different people. We all think about things differently. At the end of the day, this is about us all coming together to achieve a common goal.
Mhm.
And, how can we just keep that end goal in mind? And so I think the design classes were my favorite classes just because I love that kind of social interaction of being able to work in a group and
Yeah.
come together to achieve a common goal. So I think those classes really applied the most to my life. And I think they really, yeah, just are great classes where you learn a lot of great skills that can apply to any job or any role that you do.
It's great. Yeah, I loved the design sequence at Trinity. I loved taking a design class every single semester, and I really enjoyed that team dynamic of working with other people.
Thank you so much for watching this segment of the Engineering Success Podcast. If you liked it, make sure to check out the other videos down below that are recommended to you. And if you really like the podcast, make sure to subscribe right down there in the middle. We really appreciate it. It's free to you and helps us a lot out. And last but not least, the best way to help the show grow is to comment down below. So leave your comment if you have any thoughts about this segment. Thanks.
Payments, still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station.